Hello everyone. Today we will discover how we can use the for loops in JavaScript. This is very widely used topic into many languages, and I would like to show you how we will use the for loops in JavaScript. And there are three types of for loops in JavaScript, and the first of them is a regular for loop, which we will see in a minute. And the second of them is the for in loop. We will also discover that one. As a third one is the for of loop. So let's start to having a look at them, and we will understand why and how we can use them in the future. So the for loop itself is the loop we can start using since the beginning of the JavaScript. And there is as you see here, we have the initial expression first, and then we have, this is where we assign the variable of index, and this is the condition expression which we have. This is defines till when this condition will continue. It checks if the condition is true or false. If it's true, it says keep going to the for loop. If it's false, it just leave it there. And the increment expression means it is increments the initial expression which we will define here, and for example increment by 1. This is one example, or increment by 2 or 3 or whatever you want. And the last thing is inside the for loop is the statement we write into the for loop. We will see the examples in a very short, but I just want to show you in the presentation like this to get an initial idea. The second one is the for in loop, and this has been used for the for keyword at the beginning, and there is a element here in iterable, and this element is the key, right? This is the key of the iterable, and we will see that in very short with the examples as well. And the for element of iterable here, this is the iterable's actual element itself, not a key, it's a value. Alright, so we will start the examples right now, and before we continue that, please subscribe for more for the next lessons as well. And let's start. So I have created on my editor like this. We will start with using the for loops here, and we will discover after that the for in loop, and lastly the for of loop. So let's start writing the for loops from the beginning, and let me clear my terminal as well. So here we can say in the for loop, as you remember, we need to define our for loop like this. For let e equals 0, e smaller than 5, and we have to increment e by 1 like this. What does e plus plus means? That means, I will write it here, e plus plus actually equals as a meaning of, let's make it like this, as a meaning e equals e plus 1. Actually, that means this. So it increments the e by 1. Alright, now here I want to console log the e value here. Alright, so what will happen now? So we defined our initial statement here, e equals 0, and our condition is checking the e if it's less than 5. At the beginning, as you can see, we defined the e to 0. It is less than 5. That's true. And it will increment the e by 1 at the end of this statement is finished, right? And it will be printing 0, 1 till e became 5. And when e became 5, it will not log the e element here. So let's start, and we can just run. Let me open the terminal here. So when we run our code, you will see there is 0, 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it. When we run the code right now, it will print the e values till it reach up to 5. So let's start running it. So as you see here, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's it. We defined our for loop until from the 0 to 5 with incrementing e by 1. So what we can do here, if we want to increment the e by 2, okay, let's do it. As you can see, it printed 0, this is the initial one, and incremented 2, and then printed 4. When it goes to the next iteration, the e became 6. In that case, we couldn't write that because it was not inside that condition. So it just printed 3 values and it ends there. So instead of e++, you can also write it like this. So it will do the same thing as we did at the beginning, but it is easy to write it like this. So let's see what happens if we increase that to 10. When we run our code now, as you see, it printed out from 0 to 10. And the last topic about the for loops is changing the initial statement here. So as you see, we define the e as a 0 at the beginning, but what happens if we define a 3? Okay, let's try that out. So as you see, it has start login the values from 3 to 10. And that's it. Like this one is the basically all of the for loops we can use in our application. I will keep it as like this so you get the basic understanding right now. So we can, instead of doing it, for example, if you want to use the for loops inside the array, so we can say const example array equals, okay, and now we have the example array, and we just want to print out this example array's element. So we can access the length of the our condition will be the maximum length of this example array, and when we write the e element, it will write the index. And we can say it like this, as a key, and also value example array e. So what will happen now? Think about it. Write the answer into the comment section before going further, and you will match that value with your answers afterwards. What will that console log will write to your console? Okay, so let's see what it will write. So as you see, the keys start from 0 because the array indexes are actually start 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the values are this. So let's change it something different. So let's make it x, 3, 27b JavaScript, something like this. What will happen now? When we run our code, what will this write us? Please also write that into the comment section so you will match your answers here as well. Alright, I'm running the code now. As you see, the key is start 0x1 3 227 3b and the 4 JavaScript. So that's it. You can access the example array elements like this inside the for loop as well. So I will comment that out. If you want to take that code, you can just use it like this. And we will start in for in loops. Okay, so let's make the for in loop in as a statement we did for the for loops. The for in loop actually allow us to access the keys inside the for loop. So for let e in, we need to define an example array here. We can use this one. So let's make it example array, an example array here, and console log e. As you remember, I said the e defines actually the key value here. So we can change it to like this. It will be much more meaningful. What happens when we run this code now? Think out loud yourself. Also write that into the comment section as a third step. So I'm running the code right now. You can match your answers. As you see, it had written the index as well, like this. But how we can access the values inside the example array with their corresponding keys? Easy. What we will need to do here, we just write like this, put the key here, it's like this now, and we can say the value as example array, the key, what it gave us. If you want to access the array with their corresponding keys, it will give us the value itself. So let's run that one. As you see, we did the same thing, but you didn't have to go through, define the index and increment the index one by one. Instead, if you want to use all of them with the key and in the example array, and you can just use for in loop. So we can also use this for different objects. For example, const example object, let's say we can say here, let's give some keys. Key 1 equals JavaScript. Key 2 equals React. Key 3 equals Angular. Alright, that's cool. And we can get that example object here. What happens if I write the example object keys like this? Please write that answer to your comment section as well here. And also you can add couple of keys there like this, key for view. Okay, let me write the code now. So as you can see, our keys came here as a key 1, key 2, key 3, and a key 4. But if you want to make that some random key, like programming language 1, front end framework 1, and let's copy this ones here, front end framework 2 and 3. And I run the code now. As you see, all of the corresponding keys and the values, we can access it like this without just writing the elements one by one. Alright, that was all I would like to discuss in the for in loop. Before the video going too long, I would like to cover the for of loop as well. So in this loop is also a very important loop, which is also came by the ECMAScript 6. So let's write it. For let element in, we need to define the same element, for example, in array. I will just copy this one and paste it here. And as you see in the example array, I'm just writing the see the console log element. And I want your answer as well into the comment section. When you came that long, please write another comment in that section so you can compare your results. So here in the element from the example array will give us the element itself. So let's run, shall we? So as you see, we didn't write the off here, my bad. So as you see, we have x327p and the JavaScript. So we directly get the element values without knowing their indexes. This is very useful if you don't know what index they are, you want to use some indexes can change like this. And whenever you run your code, it will just give you all of the elements inside an example here, like the console logging the element itself. But what happens if you want to use, for example, this example object we have already created? So let's go to this one, get the example object, and what do you think it will happen now? Write that into the comment section before you go see the answer. So as you see, example object is not iterable. We cannot iterate over the objects itself. But what we can do object values and example object here. So when we write that code right now, it will get the values of these elements, example object, and we iterate through the elements itself. Another thing you can do, object keys. So you will get all of the keys and you can access all of the keys like this. What happens if you want to access the index element, the index number, inside the for of loop, for example? Let's make it like this one more time. So we will have our example array. This is an iterable array we have, and we have the console logged all of the elements. But what I'm saying, how we can access the index in this example array. So here we can write entries, and here you just need to use object destructuring as index and the element itself. So if we'll write it like this, as you can see, we can access all of the indexes like that. So basically, this is all of the for loops in the JavaScript. There are another iterations we can use, like for each, map, but this is the main for loops we use for iterating through iterables. And that's all from my side today, and I wish you happy coding, and please subscribe for the next videos, and don't forget to comment out the results which I asked into the video. That will be very helpful for you to learn. Also, you will execute the same things as I did. It will be help you along in many ways. And thank you so much. I wish you have a nice day. Goodbye.